Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Craft Your Premium Brand Experience. My name is Michelle Eisenberg, and I am a program assistant at the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center. And for those of you who may not know, the NASDAQ Center is a nonprofit building a better path for entrepreneurs worldwide by improving inclusion, access, and knowledge in entrepreneurship. So as you will see in the chat in a moment, the NASDAQ Center provides programs, resources, and exceptional mentorship to entrepreneurs across all races, industries, and geographies. So definitely make sure to check out those links and resources in the chat. And then just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. First, let us know where you are dialing in from in the chat. We always love to connect. And second, we are going to open up for live Q&A at the end of the event. So please make sure to submit your questions for us in that Q&A function at the bottom of your screen throughout the presentation, and we will try our best to get to all of them. And of course, none of what we do could be possible at the center without all of the amazing support from our sponsors, including NASDAQ, Lehigh University, BMO, Airbnb, KPMG, Wilson Sonsini, Microsoft Entrepreneurship for Positive Impact, BPM, and HubSpot for Startups. We are humbled by their contributions and hope you are grateful too. And so before we get started, we always like to launch just a couple polls to step back, see how everyone is doing. This first one's going to ask, how are you feeling? Fearful, anxious, surviving, or optimistic? And I'll give it just a couple moments here for people to submit a response. Thank you, thank you. All right, gonna end this poll and share these results. All right, looks like optimism is in the lead. Always love to see that, but definitely have some feelings of surviving and anxiety in the audience. So I'm very confident some of our conversation today might help with some of those feelings. I'm gonna stop sharing this poll and launch that second poll. What is keeping you up at night? Finance, sales, marketing, scale, pivot, team, or surviving? And this one just helps us understand your current needs as an entrepreneur so we can make sure we are continuing to provide meaningful programs and resources to all of you. Awesome. We got folks from Maryland, New York, Texas, California, North Carolina, California, Virginia, Nigeria, Chicago, Illinois, Spain, Mississippi, Kentucky, Pennsylvania. Welcome, welcome. So great to have you all tuning in here with us. Awesome. All right, gonna end this poll and share these results. All right, it looks like sales coming up in the lead, finance and marketing close behind, but we got needs all across the board. So thank you all for participating, super helpful. I'm going to stop sharing this poll, and without any further delay, please join me in giving the warmest welcome to our special guest returning, Genesis A. Emery-Foley, founder and chief marketing officer at the Blueprint House Agency. Genesis, it's such a pleasure to have you back with us, and I'm going to pass it right over to you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I hope you guys are having a great day. And thank you guys for joining me. So I will just share my screen. Let me open this up for you. All right, perfect. And then we'll go here. It's so funny when you have like so many links and things that are open. Let's see. There we go. Hopefully everybody can see this. So today we're going to talk about how to craft a premium brand experience. And as Anna mentioned to you guys, I'm Genesis Emery-Foley. I'm the founder and CMO of the Blueprint House Agency. So at our agency, we specialize in helping and enabling startups, entrepreneurs, and also small to medium-sized companies with driving growth, crafting the perfect brand message, and also reaching their ideal target audience. So today, my goal is to teach you guys all about branding and how to build that exceptional, very community-driven premium brand experience to keep customers coming back, to help you guys drive revenue, and to really build exceptional value in your target audience's mind against competitors. So without further ado, as Anna mentioned, in terms of the things I've done in my career, I have over 15 years of experience in marketing, branding, and integrated communications. I've had a pleasure of working with a number of startups across tech, B2B, legal, real estate, education, and the list goes on. I am a business school lecturer where I've had an opportunity to lecture at schools such as Berkeley, Loyola University, Chicago, which is my alma mater, and also Morehouse, to teach about startup innovation, marketing, branding, entrepreneurship, and much more. And then I also love to chat with communities like yourself all about startup acceleration and how startups can stay in the game, grow, and drive exponential results so they can become unicorns. So with that being said, let's talk about branding. So what is a brand? When someone asks me what branding is, because it is such a buzzword and everyone thinks they have a brand or they want to have a brand, my mindset is that branding is essentially an essence that creates an invaluable experience that evokes memorable emotions that lead to action or change. So that's how I would describe what a brand is. It's an essence, it's a movement, it's an experience, it's something that we live, breathe, and we do. Now, if no one else knows about your brand, they haven't heard about your brand, they haven't been exposed to it, and there's no awareness around it, as far as I'm concerned, you don't have a brand, because the goal is not for you to engage with your brand, it's for your audience to engage with your brand. So if no one is interacting with it, they don't understand it, it doesn't hit home for them, it doesn't evoke emotion or resonate with their needs and their values, it's not effective. The same thing with building out a marketing strategy. So with that being said, we're trying to create an experience, we're trying to build an essence, and we're trying to build some community buy-in around our objectives so we can solve a pain point and a need for someone else by leveraging that brand. A brand can be a product, it can be a service, it can also be a concept. But the goal of that brand is essentially to brand it. We're trying to publicly distinguish it from what other competitors are doing with their products, their services, and their concepts. That way we can easily communicate and market and succinctly articulate the messaging that distinctively makes us unique apart from our competitors. So as an example, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but it's like, what does Apple's brand say that's very largely different from what Boost Mobile's brand would say, or Cricket? How can we compare Nike to Asus or Adidas? How can we compare Macy's to Ross? Those are very different brand experiences. When you build a brand, companies have an opportunity to establish things like their name, their tone, their messaging, their voice, their design, their visual creative, such as their website or their storefront, who they're targeting, their brand promise, their values, and also their market positioning. So I'm going to teach you guys how to do all those things today. And then again, I want you to also remember too, that the purpose of building a brand is really to build relationships. When you think about marketing, my analogy about marketing is this: marketing is like dating. When people interact with your brand for the first time, they may not be sold. If I meet a guy for the first time, I'm not going to be able to say, I want to marry you just yet. I want to wear a wedding ring. Let's go on our first date. It takes time to get to that point. It's the same thing with the brand. When your audience is interacting with your brand for the first time at the awareness stage of the funnel, they're trying to decide if what you offer can essentially tap into their needs, if it can offer value, if it can address some key pain points, and really if it can offer a solution. It's the same thing with the analogy of dating. You're trying to understand if this is the right fit for you, if this person is a good match for you, and if you can actually be a part of this relationship. Branding works the same way. We're trying to build a relationship. We're trying to earn trust among our community and our audience. We're trying to nurture prospective leads that come in through every stage of the funnel. And then we're also trying to get our audience to make decisions about our brand and determine whether or not they want to purchase our product or our service. So as a marketer, as a startup founder, it's your job to build a very compelling brand that has a great evoking brand story and narrative. It has a clear, succinct message. It's very precise regarding what it's trying to achieve and how it's going to add value and act as a benefit for someone else. So that's the goal when you build a brand. Next, we're going to talk about branding being an all-encompassing process. When you think about branding, branding is not just, I'm going to have a logo designed and now I have a brand. I've had so many startups over the years reach out to me asking me to build a website for them and a logo, and they forget about everything else. There's no conversation about tone. There's no meeting about how we're going to create a messaging or what the personality is going to look like or the voice of that brand. It's just always about the logo and the website. That's a part of it, but that's the visual side, which we'll talk about. But what about everything else? Branding needs to have a sense of humanization to it. So we're packaging up who we are. Is this brand an essence that creates an experience where we're very serious, we're very professional, we're very in alignment with our audience, we're very education focused? Is it a brand that's very savvy and tech focused? Is it a brand that's fun? Is it flirty? Is it luxurious? It's an experience. And in that experience, we're trying to create a number of different processes so people can understand exactly what this brand does and how they can interact with it to understand if this is something that's going to fit their needs. Again, the brand is not about you, it's about them. And because we have so many startups and entrepreneurs using this buzzword about branding, and I have a brand and this is my personal brand, you got to understand the functions and components around how branding works because it is a process. And as you develop and package your brand is going to impact your marketing success. It's definitely going to impact your sales. It's going to impact how the rest of the world and your audience is going to respond to you. And it's also going to impact whether or not people buy into it and they want to engage on the sales side, on the community side, and also on the brand loyalty, brand evangelist side. So we're going to talk about how we can package that in terms of these core elements. So one of the core elements of branding is choosing a brand name. So I cannot stress the importance of choosing a name that's going to be very strategic. I've had a lot of companies reach out to me in the past as me being a brand architect and startup accelerator to help them choose brand names. And the biggest pet peeve I have is that people try to choose names based on what hits home for them. Like they'll go with their personal nickname that their relatives have called them over the years, or they'll go with something that they just happen to like. And the thing about it is, again, it's not about you. It needs to be something that's going to focus on how to best interact directly with your consumers and the creative foundation too around your brand's identity. Does your brand's identity and your brand's essence and values and personality match your brand name, right? I'll give you an example without sharing too much information. But I had a startup company reach out to me a couple years ago that was starting a luxury hair care line. And when I think luxury hair care and luxury extensions, I'm thinking voluptuous hair extensions, voluminous, very elite. It's going to feel really good. It's going to make me look a certain type of way. I'm thinking about an experience. So I can look glamorous and beautiful and I can exude those qualities using this particular hair care extension line. But the founder of the company, she wanted to use a personal nickname that she was called. And the nickname had absolutely nothing to do with the hair extension line. And it also did not spell out luxury, but yet her focus was to build a luxury brand. And I tried my best to convince her, hey, I think we shouldn't use this name because it doesn't align and it's probably going to confuse people. And one doesn't have anything to do with the other. We need to use a name that's going to be strategic. But unfortunately, she decided to do what she wanted to do, which is her right. But the brand has since yet to take off. Again, because people want to resonate with it. So when you build out a brand, it needs to be very functional in terms of your identity, easy to remember, and also very in alignment with your target audience's needs. And it needs to encapsulate a specific essence and vision of the company based on what you're trying to market. For my digital marketing and startup development agency, I decided to name my company the Blueprint House Agency because we specialize in building blueprints for our clients. We get a lot of clients that we attract that are trying to go from start to finish, and they're from ideation stage to conceptualizing stage to growing stage to scaling stage. And as my job as a marketer, a brand architect, and a startup advisor, I'm here to help them do that from start to finish. That's why it's the blueprint, because I'm giving them the blueprint. And we are a community or house of individuals that are trying to innovate and disrupt marketplaces and change the game. That's why it's the Blueprint House Agency. I could have named it Genesis Consulting because that's my name, Genesis. However, I didn't want to do that because I really want to focus on how can I help people and what is it that I do that's a differentiating factor from everybody else. I want it to be distinct, not the same. So when you think about brand names, think about Nike, think about Google, Chanel, Amazon, Target, Facebook, Netflix, Tesla. These are all brand names. They're easy to remember, they're very distinct, they're precise, and they mean something. When I think about Facebook, when Facebook first came out, I think it was in 2006, and I was still in high school. Facebook was all about pictures, and we're all here in this community. It's almost like a yearbook, but it's virtual and online, and we're able to engage with each other and still keep in communication. And it's this community. And it was easy because we're seeing each other's faces in this picture book idea of what we can do online. And from there, it's scaled and it's built and grew. But again, it's very conceptualized in terms of how we're going to convey that essence and how we're going to reach people with this particular message. Next, we're going to talk about logos and symbols. So logos and symbols are this visual representations of your brand. You should always have a well-designed, well-crafted logo at high quality. And the logo should really focus on your values, your promises. It should be something that's unique and easily recognizable. And it should also be very synonymous for the brand itself. Logos should be cohesive, they should be unified, and then they should also be very complete with the overall visual that matches the aesthetic of your brand. And it also matches your brand messaging, your brand tone, your brand voice, and your brand personality. I love Salesforce because it shows us the example of a cloud. It looks very integrated because a cloud can do different things and they all work together. I like that as a business owner. This is something I can use to build a CRM. I like the idea of Mercedes-Benz. This logo gives you a very classy, sleek, sophisticated, luxurious, elite feel that's not for everyone. It's a VIP experience. The example of Waldorf Astoria. If I look at this logo, I can tell this is nothing like necessarily a Hilton brand or a Homewood Suites as an example, which is also owned by Hilton, or Motel 6 or Holiday Inn. It's the Waldorf Astoria. It's a very elite luxury experience. Starbucks logo looks a lot different from the Dunkin' Donuts logo. It's an elevated experience. It's upscale. So again, when you think about how to build your logo, always consider your voice, your messaging, what you're trying to communicate, how you're trying to articulate that to the rest of the world, and overall, how you want others to perceive your identity. In many cases, people are going to see your logo for the very first time, and that's going to determine whether or not they even want to give you a chance to see what you offer and what you do, to see if they can even see themselves buying from you. So again, think about how that logo plays into that. With taglines and slogans should be short, memorable phrases, and they should also encapsulate your brand's philosophy or mission or what you do. Catchy taglines and slogans can quickly communicate a brand's purpose or benefit, and it can also reinforce a strong emotional connectivity with your audience, as well as enforcing brand awareness and loyalty. When I think about De Beers, it's a diamond company, and I always think about a diamond is forever. I've never purchased a diamond from De Beers. My wedding band is not from De Beers. But when I think about diamonds, I do think about them as one of the leading brands that can offer a flawless, memorable diamond. When I think about a credit card, for some reason, I just love the idea of MasterCard because MasterCard has always had that commercial when I was growing up, and I remember that tagline, there are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. And it gives me this seamless experience that I can shop seamlessly, efficiently. I've got MasterCard and I can take over the world because I have this excellent credit card that I can depend on. So again, taglines, they last, slogans, people can really resonate and think about, this is a solution for me that's available. This is what they do, and it stays in the back of their mind. So those are things you guys can think of. Even in the case of Dunkin' Donuts, I think their slogan is, the world runs on Dunkin'. So if I want to get some quick coffee without all the fluff, I know I've got Dunkin' Donuts. So think about how you want to build out a slogan or tagline that's going to quickly resonate with your audience and really share, the wonderful work about your brand to reinforce that awareness and build some loyalty and credibility. With brand colors, Brand colors play a big pivotal role in conveying identity and emotion. With color theory, certain colors mean certain things. Typically, green is more of the eco-friendly, global consciousness, climate sustainability, whereas orange sometimes can be happy. It can also be cautious. It could also be fun and friendly. Red could sometimes mean health, like the Red Cross as an example. So there's different colors for different things. Black tends to have more of a sleek look, and more of an elite, sophisticated look. So colors play a big role in how people can essentially capitalize what your brand means to them and whether or not it hits home for them. So with brand colors, we have Starbucks here, how they use this green Pantone and white. We've got Apple, very clean and sleek and chic and just modernized. We've got Pepsi. It almost gives us like this feel of America and the US, and Pepsi's a part of our world, and it's what US consumers like. We've got Adidas, we've got Twitter. Twitter's blue color kind of shows like the fun conversations. We've got a bird, and then we're sharing information through tweets. It just gives more of like a fun experience, even though Twitter doesn't always seem fun with some of the controversy. Nonetheless, the color can make it feel like it's a casual experience and not so serious with the tone. So these are examples of that. So when you choose a color for your brand or brand colors in general, you want to use Pantone colors that are going to, again, identify your brand's identity and emotion and tap into that effectively, and also work in cohesion with your brand's messaging, your values, your personality, your tone, and your voice. If your brand is sassy and playful, we don't need to be using something that's such a serious color that can make someone feel like it's a caution out there, or they need to watch out for something. We want to use something that's more on the fun, easygoing side. Typography and fonts. So with this also contributes to your brand personality by providing a visual voice. So with fonts, if I were to build, let's say, a luxury handbag line based in London, I'm not going to use like the Rockstar Metallica fonts. They just don't match. I'm going to want to use something more formal, and more avant-garde and more high fashion like and more luxurious. So really be careful about how you want to choose your fonts, and make sure that your fonts are very consistent with your brand's image and also your brand's overall personality. So if you have an innovative brand, choose a logo that kind of matches that. If it's more formal, choose something that's more formal. If it's something that's more casual and straight to the point, then choose something that's more simplistic and minimalistic. So again, that plays a long way in how people perceive you, because that's the first thing they typically see. Your logo, your font, your website, your slogan, your storefront, your visuals, your graphics. They look at all of that as it make a deciding factor as far as if they want to buy from you or not, and whether or not they trust you and want to continue to move down the customer's buyer's journey or funnel process. Next, we've got some visual aesthetic elements, and I have quite a few examples I'm going to show you guys. With the visual and aesthetic components of a brand, we're trying to build a deeper connection. We're trying to market and appeal to people. We're trying to tap into their emotions, and we're trying to catch their attention in a compelling visual way. So with that, we have brand imagery and photography style, we've got packaging design, and we have a website and digital presence. So I'm going to show you an example about Burberry. So with Burberry, if you take a look at their images, it's very sophisticated, it's very chic, it's very modernized, very high quality. The details are there, and it just has this appearance where it looks like it's a bit of royalty, but yet it's something that has a very modernistic approach to it, but still that high fashion experience. So this is an example of their brand imagery and the photography that they use. Here's another example of that. I think this is it Cara Delevingne? I think it is. This is some of her campaign ads that she's used, that she's been a part of for Google. So take a look at how they have her model, her poses and placement, the fashion, the way the color scheme works, how the colors happen to match the brand color scheme as well in the brand palette. So these are examples of imagery. When I look at this, I know this is not something I'm going to be able to go to find at Ross or Marshalls or TJ Maxx. And I love all those stores. I shop there all the time. But nonetheless, this is a different experience. We're trying to build a premium brand. So we have to give our audience a premium crafted experience so they understand there's a difference in this particular experience that, as an example, Fashion Nova cannot offer. It's a totally different audience, totally different brand, different price point, different strategy, and different way of how we're trying to communicate this. And then different needs as well. This is an example of another visual aesthetic element. This is a Burberry packaging. So take a look at their packaging. If you buy something, it's going to come like this, as opposed to a plastic shopping bag. Different experience. So as you're building out and crafting a premium brand, think about your packaging, your website, think about your photography, your visuals, and what that will create as far as the messaging for consumers. How are they going to respond to that? And what does it mean for them? The same thing here, looking at their fragrance, their lipstick brand. We've got, looks like some bronzer here. The packaging is very high end and very luxurious and upscale. The packaging here is not going to be like the packaging I would find buying an e.l.f. brand, as an example, at Walgreens. This particular fragrance looks nothing like a bottle of Axe, right? Or a Bath and Body Works brand. It's very, very different. So packaging and design plays a huge element, again, in how you're going to package your brand and how you want your audience to respond to it. If you build out and create a messaging that your brand focuses on luxury, and that's something that you specialize in, then your packaging, your visuals, your design elements, your overall brand aesthetics must marry and cohesively match that. Same thing with your website and your digital presence. Your website should look exactly like what you're trying to emulate in your brand across all of your messaging, communications, branding collateral, your voice, your personality, and your tone. See, so very clean, modernistic, high fashion, and very sophisticated for a particular type of exclusive VIP audience. Next, we're going to talk about emotional and psychological aspects. And I have some fun videos that I compiled for you guys to really give you an idea about that. When you build out a brand, people want to feel like they know you, they can identify with you, what you offer in your brand can match their needs, and they're trying to determine whether they like you or not, and they trust you. So one way to help deepen that connection and build that bond with your audience and really drive community buy-in is through an emotional attachment and those psychological appeals. Again, we're trying to use emotion to build a relationship. So here's an example here of a Nike commercial. It's one of my favorite commercials because it shows the humanistic side of Nike based upon these characteristics, where I can see whether I am a 350-pound woman or rather I am 150 pounds, I can do this. This is something that's for everyone. So take a look at this. You guys have probably seen this before.
It's just something we made up. Somehow we've come to believe that greatness is a gift reserved for a chosen few. But prodigies, for superstars. And the rest of us can only stand by watching. You can forget that. Greatness is not some rare DNA strand. It's not some precious thing. Greatness is no more unique to us than breathing. We're all capable of it. All of us.
All right, so perfect. And see, I love that commercial because with Nike, they really sell the messaging of heroicism and athleticism. And they really focus on letting you know that if you can do it, I can do it. If they can do it, I can do it. So this is something that's for everyone. Nike is very all-inclusive, it's very diverse. It's rather you have special needs or disability or you don't. This is something that is for everybody, where everyone can feel like they're a hero and an athlete too, using their particular apparel, their shoes and being a part of that overall Nike experience. Because again, a brand is an experience. So that's a great commercial of how we can connect with people on a deeper level. I've had moments where I was on the treadmill just like that, trying to make my way to that one little mile. And then literally 1 year during COVID, I ran my first marathon and I did it in Nike. I only trusted Nike to run that marathon because I knew that given other people that are in my body type that wears those particular shoes and that overall brand essence that they create about heroicism and athleticism and endurance and strength and tenacity and this beast warrior, we've got this. We can all do it and be sporty and achieve our goals and reach greatness. I knew that was the only brand for me that I could possibly master that marathon in. And I did it. So that's an example of that. And next, I'm
Hey,
going to
Genesis, real quick, do you think we could make the presentation full screen just so we could read the text a little bit better?
Oh, yeah, of course. There you go, everybody. Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So this is another one here about emotional connections and psychological aspects. So this is an example of Amazon. I actually saw this commercial for the first time a few months ago, and it was just the cutest thing. But it shows you how Amazon delivers on an experience. It exceeds expectations. It meets their brand promises. They have a long-lasting relationship with their audience, and they also can do pretty much whatever we need them to do. They're always by our side and we can depend on them, even when moments come that can feel a little bit uncomfortable or tough. So here's an example of that.
Right. It seems like only yesterday. Excited to see you.
I'm at the office next week, right?
Can you believe it? Will not be running so.
Be a good boy.
Life is brief, but when it's gone, love goes on and on. Here comes a train. You might like that one. Life is brief, when it's gone, life goes on and on.
All right. So the cutest thing. So I love that commercial from Amazon because I typically see commercials from them where they give you this feeling that regardless of what you're going through in life, whether you're a dog or it's a family or a single person or whatever, they always have something for everyone. And in this case, we see this little warm, adorable dog who's sad. You know, his family was once with him playing all the time, and now lockdown from COVID ended. So they're all back to their normal hustle and bustle of lives. And he just needs a little bit of a friend. And so this dog starts creating these attention-seeking behaviors because he doesn't have anyone around and he just misses his family and his home with his family members. And so with Amazon, they were able to offer a little dog kennel that he thought was for him, but that dog kennel was actually to bring and introduce his new furry friends. And now he has a little pal to also build a relationship with and to be there with him so he doesn't have to be alone. So that's an example of how they can help create these wonderful experiences for us and how they can solve solutions to everybody's problem, whether it's a human or one of our little adorable furry friends. So again, we're tapping into the emotion. Amazon could have easily put a commercial out there that said, here's a dog kennel for those that need it. It's $30, buy it online, here's the link. They didn't do that. They told a story around it. They gave you a wonderful, cute example and something that was realistic of how animals or humans can behave in certain situations. And here's how we can offer a solution for it while also tapping into your emotions and showing you how we can be there to help and we have your back. So I absolutely love that. And again, that's an example of brands building an emotional connection and an experience. And these are things that are long-lasting impressions that people won't ever forget. If you ever have a situation where you need to introduce another furry friend to your household, Amazon has the doggy beds and the pet toys and the dog kennel to help you do that. Then I'm going to show you here. Let's see. This one here, I'll show you too. It's an example of a vehicle. So the purpose in showing you this is to really get you to understand how brands can also show that they can be with you through all of life's journeys and curveballs and stages. And it gives you a sense of brand loyalty. So when you think about building a brand experience, especially on the premium brand side, we're trying to build a loyal community of brand evangelists, brand loyalists, and brand enthusiasts. We don't want a one-time sales transaction with our audience. We want our particular customers or clients to keep coming back time and time again. So here's an example of how Volkswagen was able to show that they can do that. And they did it here with this particular family, and they're trying to influence and encourage you to trust them for all of your breakthrough life adventures and milestones. All right, and we'll stop it there. But see, you can see how this brand is with this particular age all the way through him getting married and then having a family of his own. And Volkswagen was that particular vehicle that was able to be reliable. It offered a great customer satisfaction, and that's a particular loyal brand user. So again, brand perception is how we have these expectations, what we expect to see from a brand, and how that particular brand can match that and embody that for us. That's crucial to brand success. It's also crucial that brands maintain a positive perception and that they consistently meet and exceed our expectations, which can then lead to customer satisfaction, loyalty, and brand evangelism. So next I'll show you, see here, how we can build premium brand experiences. So how we can use a premium brand experience as leverage to cultivate customer relationships, accelerate market growth, and also build and increase authority through premium brand experiences that are long-lasting and elevated. Number one, we have to really focus on living, breathing, and being the brand. Brands can no longer just state what they do and who they are and what they offer. When you build a brand, brand stands for innovation, then your brand needs to be able to disrupt an industry and create and shape change and build a movement. So again, it's about embodying what we say we're going to do. That's an elevated experience that can create a premium brand package. Again, your brand should be a model representation of what you've set out to achieve in terms of your key objectives and your targeted goals. Are you building a brand that you're positioning to become an industry leader in the startup ecosystem? Are you positioning your brand to be perceived as an innovator or pioneer in your space? Is your brand forward-thinking and always willing to create a fresh, forward-thinking approach? Does your brand care about social values like DEI and entrepreneurial equity and community impact? Again, be the brand based upon how you're representing your brand and how you want others to perceive it. You have to model that. Here's a quick case study. You all may have seen this article lately. It was about the former founder of Lululemon. So I had the pleasure of being invited to be featured in this article by NBC to talk about the regressive comments that that former founder made, Chip Wilson, regarding DEI. So what he said was, in a nutshell, was that the brand is not for everyone, and that the brand was not created for certain cultural groups of people. And it created such a big backlash, and essentially was a PR nightmare, because it did show that although the company is a fitness apparel line and many different users and audiences wear it, it shows that their perception is that we're not for everyone, we're only for certain people. And we're going to try to exclude certain people from being a part of this particular brand because they don't buy into what our model target audience looks like. Now, I will say, in the marketing lens of things, your brand is not for everyone, in terms of you're not trying to attract everybody out there in the world. You have a particular target buyer persona and a target audience. That's normal. But what you can't do is say, my company is not for Black people, or I don't want Asians wearing my shoes, or I don't want Caucasian older men eating my ice cream. You can't do that. So when you think about building a brand, you have to keep in mind of how other people are going to perceive you, and how what you say, what you do, your thoughts, your feelings, your values, and what you put out there in the world can have a very negative impact on how the rest of the world engages with you and how they now see you. Even if it is a premium brand, that can easily change, where you now don't have a brand because no one trusts you. They don't want to buy from you. They don't like you. And you've given them a very bad experience or left a bad taste in their mouth. So in the example of this, the company's former founder's remarks left a negative impact on this brand's perception, and it also decreased the brand's social equity, right? So there were even talks about boycotting the brand because of those progressive values. So things can go the opposite way. That's why it talks about understanding the value about your brand and the impact on your target audience. Is your brand beneficial? Is your brand helpful to other people? Can your brand impact a larger movement? Does your brand offer solutions that address your customers' pain points and needs? In the case of Lululemon, is your brand controversial? Does it pose a threat to a particular group or audience or demographic? Does your brand also offer the same experience that it promises in its messaging and across its brand collateral? When you build a brand, make sure that all these T's are crossed and these I's are dotted. Because if anyone notices the gap in that experience, it's going to be really hard to recover from that. And in most cases, a lot of customers or your overall audience or tribe, they're not going to give you a second chance. You have one shot. Even like a bad customer service experience, I can like you all I want and love your brand in terms of what you offer for me. But if I have a bad experience interacting with your employees, or I have to call and I have a long 45-minute hold time just to speak to a representative, I'm kind of done at that point, because it's a bad experience and you're not delivering on your promise. So promises and values are huge, and those things go a long way. Here's another mini case study about Tesla. So Tesla recently received low remarks or low grades for their automated driving technology. So how does that impact the brand? Tesla's known for being an innovator. It's known for being an industry disruptor. It's very tech focused and savvy. It's very futuristic and forward thinking and new age driven. But if they have a low remark for automated driving technology and they're trying to create a space for that, what does that say about the brand? How does that impact our relationship with Tesla and how we view that particular company? The same thing with Apple. What experience does Apple offer to us that the competitors cannot? When I think about Apple and Apple's evolution and my experience in Apple and what I've seen in their commercials and their messaging and just how modern they are and very tech driven and savvy, I know it's a very different experience than if I were to go to a Boost Mobile or if I were to get an Android. This is a brand that I feel very closely connected to because I trust them to meet my needs, and they can offer me the premium experience that I'm looking for so I can stay connected with my business contacts, my friends, my clients, and also have relationships using my mobile device and all of my other devices. The same thing for Disney. What makes Disney the happiest place on earth? Disney creates a premium brand experience. Nothing wrong with Six Flags or anything like that, or California Adventures, or Knott's Berry Farms. but it's a different experience. When you think about Disney, you think about happiness, family, kids, Mickey Mouse, and all of his pals, and you think about this magical world where you get to go and belong for a few hours and just be immersed in this wonderful culture of optimism and happiness and peace and joyfulness. And it's just a wonderful experience. So again, when you build a brand experience, you're trying to get people to understand why you're different from everybody else. When I think about Six Flags, I don't think about it the same way as I do for Disney World or Disneyland. It's totally different type of experience and different level of elevation versus something else. The same thing here with Apple versus Cricket. If I go to an Apple store, I'm going to get this. And I'm going to be surrounded by a team of experts and techies. If I go to Cricket, I'm going to get this. Nothing wrong with going there. It's just a matter of what kind of experience are you looking for in terms of branding and the premium package that you're hoping for, if that's the price point of what you want to pay. And the same thing here. We've got Salesforce versus Zoho, Tide versus Extra, Sprinkles versus Hostess, McCormick and Schmucks versus Red Lobster. None of these brands below are bad. It's just a matter of a difference in experience and what their audience can expect in terms of expectations and brand delivery and brand personality and brand promise and brand quality. Now, here's how you all can build a premium brand experience based on what we talked about today. When you're crafting your own premium brand experience, you want to architect your brand in a way that your audience will perceive it. So if you want your audience to perceive your brand as luxury, be luxury. If you want your brand to be perceived as modern or futuristic or forward-thinking or tech-driven, then you have to embody that in your brand's personality. Again, voice, tone, messaging, visual creatives, and overall brand identity. When you build out a brand, number one, focus on your customers' needs first and identify and understand what their needs and pain points are so that you can create solutions for that using your product or service. Again, when you build a brand, it's not about you, it's about them. Relationship building is also key. So it's very important to constantly engage with your audience, build relationships with your customers, and nurture your community. When someone interacts with your brand, they don't want to feel like they're just buying from you just so you can benefit or profit. They want to have an experience. They want to have a relationship. They want to feel like they're a part of the IT crew and a part of the VIP community. And they want to feel a sense of exclusivity. So give them that. You also want to create brand authority. Brand authority really starts with you. So it's important to strategically position your brand as that premier, trustworthy, authoritative choice and that undeniable choice against industry competitors. So Nike versus Adidas, Tide versus Extra, Bentley versus Toyota, totally different experience. The Ritz-Carlton Hotel versus the Motel 6, Fendi versus Fashion Nova, very different experiences. When we think about brand authority, it's about how can my experience offer an elevated appeal that no one else can? How can my brand offer potential key benefits and certain values that other brands cannot compete with? So you're trying to be the leader in a cluttered, saturated market, not the follower. You also want to conduct competitive research to constantly stay abreast around market trends, data, and what your competitors are doing to drive demand, so you can identify ways of how you can improve your own demand strategy and generate leads and drive growth in sales, and also competitively, distinctively differentiate yourself from other players in your market. And then, of course, leverage collected data to make the most informed decisions in your brand building process. You also want to communicate confidence. So again, it's about walking the walk and talking the talk with action and delivery. Your brand should exude confidence, and you should also behave like the premium brand that you say you are. So your brand actions must back up the brand words. If your brand is known for number one in quality and craftsmanship and reliability and on-time delivery, then you have to be that. And if you fall short on that, an apology is necessary, and you need to try to find a way to clean it up and to address it so that customers don't get lost and don't trust you anymore, don't want to buy from you or become a loyalist. Again, delivering on excellent quality, maintaining consistency, and never shortchanging your audience. That's important as well. So think about high-end beauty products, elite hotels, VIP entertainment, luxury skincare, luxury cars, high-tech devices, designer shoes. We're thinking about consistency and excellent quality. You also want to lead with excellent customer service. I can't say that enough. Creating a positive, lasting impression is what's going to keep people coming back. It's going to keep customers in your door, and it's also going to build a community of loyal brand evangelists who want to tell the rest of the world about you. You also want to create a strategic price structure and distribution strategy. Again, that's using product, place, price, and promotion so that your brand is exclusive for a certain type of community. Your brand is not intended to meet everyone's needs, and it should not be sold everywhere. So as an example, like we talked about earlier, we're not going to see a brand like Burberry sold at Ross. We're not going to probably see a brand like Fashion Nova sold at Louis Vuitton. It doesn't work that way. These are different brands, different companies, different experiences, and they all know how to stay in their lane. So we're trying to create a strategic marketing strategy that will allow our brand to be distributed across the appropriate channels to reach the right people and at the right price point based on what they're willing to pay for a service, an experience, and an essence like this. If you're going to have any kind of brand partnerships, you're going to want to partner with like-minded brand partners. So it's an apples to brand experience with a reputable company or partner brand that's going to offer the same premium package and elevated experience that your brand would. So let's get started. To build your own premium brand, identify your brand identity. So clearly define your brand's values, your mission, and your USP, also known as your unique selling proposition or unique value proposition. You also want to identify what sets your brand apart and what emotions that you're going to use to best evoke your customers and tap into their needs and compel them. Next, you're going to want to understand your target audience. So conduct market research to understand their preferences, their lifestyles, their aspirations, their needs, and their pain points. That way you can actually tailor your brand experiences accordingly to best fit what they're looking for and to reach them effectively. If your brand can't meet their needs, then you don't have an audience. Next, think about quality control. So ensure that every aspect of your brand or product or service reflects the highest standards of quality and craftsmanship and leadership. Use premium materials, ingredients, manufacturing processes, and whatever else that you need to deliver a superior value to your customers. And remember, don't shortchange anyone, because that's the first thing people see is the quality and the care and the level of detail. Brand consistency is key. So maintain consistency across all touch points of your brand. That includes customer service, your retail environments, your face-to-face interactions with customers, your packaging, your marketing communications, your graphics and visual presentation. It's everything. Consistency is what's going to build brand trust, and it's also going to reinforce your brand's premium positioning in the marketplace. So as an example, Starbucks versus Dunkin' Donuts, Burberry versus what's another brand? Old Navy. It's a different type of experience. So we're trying to build trust and credibility. We're trying to maintain that. And we're also trying to reinforce that we are a leader in our particular space because we've positioned our brand to be that. But we have to embody that and maintain consistency. You also want to create exclusivity. So foster a sense of VIP level treatment, exclusivity, and some scarcity and demand around your brand by offering VIP access, exclusive events, or email promotions for loyal customers, and even limited edition products. So people can feel like they're getting the special treatment and that they're privileged to be a part of your community, and that it's like this is only for you type of experience. You also want to deliver personalized experiences. So tailor your brand experience in a way that's going to meet your individual customers' needs and their preferences, and then use data insights and cultural insights and customer testimonials and reviews to personalize marketing messages, product recommendations, and also service offerings. So that data is going to be key for delivering those personalized brand experiences. And then again, lead with customer service first. So providing that exceptional customer service experience that exceeds expectations time and time again, not just sometimes, making sure your staff is well trained to deliver that attentive, personalized, knowledgeable service to enhance the overall brand experience, because customer service is a brand interaction and brand experience. And then making sure that if there's ever a negative interaction or something that you just can't seem to get right, you at least try and take the approach of trying to move things around and make improvements so that you can not under-deliver, but over-deliver and not overpromise. You also want to engage with your audience emotionally. So using things like music, visual imagery, scents, certain tactile experiences that can really create a multi-sensory brand experience. You'll want to create emotional connections with your customers by telling compelling stories, building narratives, creating a sense of emotional values, and really appealing to their overall lifestyle needs and their senses, and also really aspiring change around what you're trying to do. And then you'll want to also invest in brand aesthetics. So things like your visual sensory elements of your brand, including your logo, your website design, your packaging, your store design, and then investing in high quality design and aesthetic appearances that can really reflect the premium nature of your brand that actually exudes that particular quality level and that essence. So again, if I'm building out a high value brand that's premium and it's positioned and marketed that way, my brand collateral should match that, such as my logo, my website, my store, my communications, how I speak to people, how the interactions are, and the overall identity. And then you'll also want to cultivate loyal brand advocates. So again, when we talk about fostering a community of evangelists, galvanizing brand loyalists, and creating that strong community of people that want to stay connected to you and be a part of that overall brand experience on an ongoing basis. And they want to tell the rest of the world about you and encourage others to become evangelists as well, because they like you and love you and they trust in what you do. And then here too, with branding, one thing I'd highly recommend that you all do is to create a brand story that's going to be very change focused and compelling. When you build out a narrative, you want to leverage that narrative to boost community buy-in and to leverage connections and cultivate relationships. So you can say all you want, my brand does this and that, we look like this, we're packaged very nicely, we're designed very innovatively, but what's the story? People want to know about you, they want to learn from you, they want to see what you do, and they want to gain a better understanding of the experience and learn about what's in it for them and how your background, your founder story, your journey, your brand vision can tap into their needs, and if it's something they can even identify with. So tap into that story. And then build your UVP, unique value proposition. So that's where you're going to take some time to essentially identify what makes your brand relevant. So explaining how your product or service can solve your customers' pain points or address their problems with actionable solutions through your product or service, the specific benefits that you offer that will be shared in your messaging that you craft, and then why your particular product or service is very unique and different from everybody else. So that's in a nutshell how you build a UVP. You're trying to get other people to understand how your product is so much different from all the other brands that are out there sitting on the same shelf. Essentially, why are you better than everybody else? And then key takeaways. We talked today about brand prototyping. So the brand components that we're going to use that are key to building out our brand, such as our tone, our voice, our visuals, our personality, our emotions. We talked about understanding our target audience needs and their pain points and addressing those pain points through solutions that only our product or service can offer. We also talked about the brand experience. So how we want our brand to be perceived among competitors, and then how we can give our brand that competitive, premium, high quality edge that can distinctively position us apart and set us apart from other players in the marketplace. And other than that, that's pretty much about it. So what you can do for those that are interested, I do have a free digital course for startups that's completely free that I can share with you guys if you'd like. I'll drop it in the chat. I also have a private Blueprint House Agency webinar that I'm happy to share with you all for any of you all that have startup communities. If you'd like me to come out for a keynote or for an engagement, I'm happy to do that. You can also subscribe to my email list, and you can book a free 20-minute discovery call to talk about all your brand and marketing needs and how my team and I can help you, and to also discuss what we can do to set you apart from other brands and help you all to drive sales. So those are the offerings for today from our discussion. And then this is my contact information, so you guys can stay in contact with me. So my direct cell, my email, my website, and my LinkedIn name.
Awesome. Genesis, thank you so much. And we'll share all of these links and resources, following the event in an email. But thank you. That was, fittingly, an incredible blueprint, for brand strategy and creating that premium brand experience. So, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you. And I will drop in the chat those links that I told you guys about. So let's see. I will put them here for you guys.
Yeah, and then we can copy and paste those, share them in an email as well with everyone here. So yeah, thank you so much. Really, really awesome insight. And we're just super happy you joined us. And to everyone still on in the audience, we look forward to welcoming you back online with us soon. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you.